Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my spring TBR. As I mentioned in my winter wrap up or yesterday's video, I am switching up how I am doing these seasonal TBRs. So historically, I've just kind of picked 10 to 12 books off of my TBR that I wanted to prioritize for the upcoming season. But as much as I enjoyed doing those, I was finding that I was not loving all of the books that I was reading, and not that that is like a big deal, but I decided to kind of redo how we're going to do this. So instead of me just picking some books that I'm like, hey, I'm going to prioritize these books and then wrap it up at the end, we are going to kind of talk about some things off my TBR, what I am reading them for, and then give you a little peek into some of my content, things like that, so that you know what to expect from me in the upcoming months instead of just making another TBR. So these are all still books that I'm going to read over spring. We're still going to do a wrap up at the end of spring where I will look back and tell you how I liked all these books, what I read, everything like that. But these are going to be a little bit more specific to certain things. So these are going to be 4 videos. These are new releases. These are sequels that I'm going to be reading for things. So I'm going to kind of go through these in categories. We're going to start with the sequels, we'll go into new releases, and then we'll end with books for videos. So going right into the sequels, part of the reason why I decided to make this its own category is one of my goals for 2023 is to kind of fall back in love with binging series. That was one of my favorite things to do before I got really involved in the book community, where at that point I got wrapped up in all of the new releases and everything like that, and never giving myself the time and space to binge a series, which I love to do. So I'm going to start with the ones that I have physically because they are right here. So first of all, ending a series, I have The Enemy Within by Tal Bauer. This is the final book in the Executive Office series. I put this on my March TBR. It is the 20th today that I'm filming this, and I still haven't read it. So this is going to get read hopefully very soon. I'm hoping to read it next week. I do have the audiobook for this. It might return today now that I'm saying that out loud, so I will have to get the audiobook again, but that's okay. These are all available for my library through Hoopla, so I will be getting it through there. I really love the audiobooks for the series, so I'm really excited to continue on with this one. This is a President of the United States / Secret Service agent romance, which Tal Bauer does a lot and he does really well. And this one is very intense. So I binged the first, I'm going to say 3 books. One of them is a novella, but I binged those like back to back to back and I got stressed out. So I ended up putting this on hold and then I just never came back to it. I kind of forgot about it. So I'm going to get back into it and read this final book hopefully next week. The next one that I have is Mine to Possess, which is book 4. Book 4, I think, in the Side Changeling series. I love Nalini Singh. I have read her entire Guild Hunters series, and I started this series in 2020 and then never picked it back up. So now I have read 2 books already this year in the series, and I want to keep that momentum. Nalini Singh is another author whose books I've loved on audio, so I will be listening to the series on audio. These covers crack me up. These are so like old school mass market paperbacks, and every single time I see them I laugh really hard. I think I only own like the first 6 of these. I have like a Nalini Singh fan shelf up there, but I do need to get my hands on the rest of them because all of these are absolutely ridiculous. I didn't even talk about what this is about. This is set in a world where there are humans, changelings, and Sais, and the Sais are considered the most powerful and they kind of run everything, but they don't have feelings anymore, and because of that they are turning kind of corrupt, and the changelings are starting to gain some power and try to take back some of the power from the Sais and kind of show the world how evil they are. And these are paranormal urban fantasy romances. It's fantastic. And then the last one that I have physically is another one that I put on my March TBR and ended up getting pushed back because the newest book got pushed back. I want to say it's coming out in August now, and that is Beautiful Nightmares by KJ Sutton. Book 5 is coming out in summer. I want to say it's August. Originally, it was going to be March. Kelsey ended up moving it back, and so this is getting pushed back because it's huge and it's not going to happen in March. So I do want to read this before book 5 comes out, and since book 5 comes out in summer, We're going to reread this sometime in spring. I have already read this once, but this is the only book that I've only read once in the series. So I want to reread it before going into book 5 because a lot clearly happens in this book and I don't remember all of it. So I've pitched this book. It feels like 1,000 times. This is a fantasy romance that is set in the real world. There are tons of paranormal creatures. Our heroine is a nightmare. And in book 1, she's trying to save her brother, gets wrapped up in the Fae politics and ends up becoming engaged to a Fae. And then there's a love triangle, a true love triangle, all through ways. I don't want to say any more because the plot really changes after that first book. And if I say anything more, it kind of ruins what happens in that book and super spoilery. The other releases that I really want to read is it Gloam? Glom? Gloam. I feel like it has to be Gloam, right? It is the next book in the Monster series by Lily Mayne. I am completely obsessed with the series. I read Soul Eater quite a while ago and I put Eden on my TBR and I just never picked it up. And I had downloaded Eden from KU like 6 or 7 times. And I kept returning it because I was like, I don't have time for it right now. And now that I've gotten back into the series, I just want to binge them all. I love this world. And with where the last book ended up, I really want to get into this one because this is like the best friend of one of the heroes from book 3, and I want this one right away. I'm actually hoping to read at least 2, but to keep this nice and simple, we're just going to put Gloam on here. Hopefully I can get some more read in the series. The other sequel that I have is Damien by Jacqueline Osborne. This is the next book in the what is the name of the series? I don't know. It's a series about fallen angels and they are all manifestations of the 7 deadly sins. I don't remember the name of the series, but they are following all 7 brothers of the 7 deadly sins. And I know this is Mariah from Mariah Reddit's favorite, which has me even more excited because I really loved the first 2 books. I gave them both, I think, 4 stars. This series is just fun and sweet and wonderful. It's one of those series that you just kind of go into and have a good time. It's not like overly stressful and angsty and anything like that. I will say that Castor was a little bit more angsty, but not so much in the romance as much as in the plot. It's really nice that once these like main characters get together, while there are some like external forces, once they're together, like they're in it. So I really like there's not so much internal romantic drama. In book 2, there was external drama. There was external things that were keeping these 2 apart, which I actually really liked that stuff. But once these 2 are committed to each other, they are committed. And I'm very excited for Damien. We already know the love interest because it's revealed in book 2, and I can't wait. And then the last one that I put in the sequel category isn't actually a sequel. It's book 1 in a series. However, it's intertwined with a different series that I've already started. So that is the Puck Boys series by Saxon James. This might be co-written by Eden Finlay, I can't remember. But I had read The Husband Hoped by Saxon James earlier this year, and that is going to tie into this series. So one of the characters that we get in The Husband Hoax is getting his romance in this series. And so that's book 4, and it's coming out semi-soon. And so I really want to get caught up. There's 3 books ahead of it that I need to read. So all 3 books are on my spring TBR. Do I know anything about this series? No. It's a hockey romance. That's all I know. So I want to get caught up on this series so that I can read book 4 because I want that character's romance so badly. He's a firefighter. He's one of the roommates. I need his romance. So I need to get caught up on this series so I can read book 4. So those are the sequels that I'm planning to read for spring. Do I know yet how they are going to fit in? No, I haven't figured that part out. I'm going to be doing my April TBR and stuff right after this. So I'm going to figure some of it out for that. But as of right now, I haven't quite settled on that. So going into new releases, there are 5 of them that I know that I am going to be reading. As some of them I know when I'm going to be reading them, some of them I don't. Let's start with the ones that I know when I'm going to be reading them. So we have Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate, which comes out the week that I'm filming this. The week that I'm filming this, it is the Trans Rights Readathon, so I will not be reading this book the week that it comes out. I'm going to be reading it next week. This is book 5 in the Salacious Players Club. The Salacious Players Club itself technically wrapped up, but we are getting 2 additional like spin-offs with one person that works there, and then this one is one of the patrons of the Salacious Players Club, and we have met this guy before. It is an older hero and a quite a bit younger heroine. I want to say there is a 20+ year age gap, so it is a big one. This is also daddy kink, so know that in case you are not into that. But I am really excited for this book. I really love Sarah Kate's Salacious Players Club, and I'm glad we're getting some more books in the series because I was not ready to say goodbye to this world. So this one does come out this week, but I will be reading it next week, along with Kingdom of Venom and Vows by, oh, who's the author? Holly Renee. This is book 3 in the Stars and Shadow series. I'm doing this all off memory. I have some post-it notes off to the side with the books, so I'm trying to remember all the authors and stuff off the top of my head. So if I get anything wrong, my apologies. But this is book 3 in a fantasy romance series. I've talked about this series a lot, that this series, while not anything super new and different, is so fucking bingeable. I just cannot help but have a good time while reading this series. We're following a heroine who is sacrificed by her family to go and marry the like fae that helps protect the humans. Turns out he's kind of evil, and his evil bodyguard is not so evil, and she has a romance with the evil bodyguard. There are vampires, there are fae, there is all kinds of magic going on. I don't know how many books are in the series. I don't know if this is the end. I haven't really been paying attention. I don't want any spoilers, so I haven't been reading anything about this book. So this also comes out the week that I am filming this video. And again, I will be reading it next week. And then the last one that I know is Fave Princes by Nikki St. Croix, which is the final book in the Never King series. I think it's called the Lost Boys series, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't ever use the term guilty pleasure because I don't feel guilty for reading this book, but that is the closest that I could describe my feelings for this book. Is this the greatest written series of all time? Absolutely not. But is it a ridiculously good time? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is so much fun. It is so over the top and so ridiculous, and it is everything. I love it. And I'm really excited not only to read this one and figure out how this all wraps up and comes together, but I'm really excited to see what Nikki St. Croix does next because the series was such a good time. This is obviously a Peter Pan retelling, kinda. Our heroine is human, and she has always believed that her family suffers from like a hereditary mental illness because everyone in her family after the age of 18 started to believe that Peter Pan was out to get them. And so everyone thought, I think it was schizophrenia. I think everyone thought that her family suffered from schizophrenia. And she always thought that at her 18th birthday, that was kind of like when she was going to start experiencing some of these symptoms. Turns out Peter Pan is real, and he takes her to Neverland, and she has a why choose romance with Pan and some of the Lost Boys. It's pretty wild. I'm assuming we're going to learn some more stuff in this one based off the title about the 2 fae and their sister who is queen. And this one is also coming out this week. So it's going to get read next week. We have Paladin by Onley James. I don't remember exactly when this one is coming out, but it is spring, and I will be reading this the day that it releases. And actually probably a couple of days before it releases. I am part of Onley James's Patreon, and so we get the ebooks sent to us like a couple of days before release. So as soon as it gets to my Kindle, I will be reading it. I read all of her new releases as soon as they get onto my Kindle. I literally stop whatever I'm reading and read these books because I am obsessed with the Necessary Evil series. This is a spin-off of the Necessary Evil series. So if you have read at least up to book 3 in the Necessary Evil series, you know kind of who these characters are. This is following, I think it's called Jericho Boys, and this is going to be their romances. So these people are not actually psychopaths. These are just people who have kind of gotten involved in the vigilante acts of the Mulvaney family. And it is all of their romances. I'm totally blanking on the main character's name. The other hero is Ever. but Ever is very traumatized because he grew up locked in a closet, and now our other hero is kind of helping him. He rescued him, and now they have a very codependent relationship. So I'm really excited to give this one a read. I enjoy this entire world. I'm excited to see what this one is all about. And then the final new release is kind of a crossover between a sequel and a new release. I decided to put it here because these can all be read as standalones, and that is If Only You by Chloe Leese. This is book 5, 6 in the Bergman brothers, but this is the youngest sister's romance, and this is a soccer player hockey romance, and I believe the hockey player is one of her brother's teammates. That's all I know, but this is coming out sometime in spring. This is the only one that I don't know when I'm gonna get to read. It's gonna wholly depend on kind of when it comes out and what my plans are for that month, so that's the only one that I don't have a plan for yet in the new releases. And then the last section is books that I'm reading for vlogs. I have planned out my content almost entirely through June. So while I haven't set my like actual TBRs for each of the weeks, I do know what I am going to be posting, and I have 4 vlogs that I kind of want to tease here. So the first one is Sweet Vengeance. I am not going to attempt to pronounce this author's name because I will butcher it, and I haven't looked up the pronunciation yet, but this is a book that I know nothing about. I got this book from Mina Reads over on Instagram. I literally saw the cover and went, well, I need that. I'm pretty sure she loved it, if I'm remembering correctly. This is going to be for a vlog that is coming actually really soon. It's going to come in like mid-April. I will tell you this vlog. This is for a vlog where I'm reading books that I know nothing about. I have 5 books, I believe, for that vlog. This is one of them, and I'm not going to tell you the synopsis because I don't know the synopsis, and the whole point of the vlog is to not know the synopsis. So I have 5 books. I know nothing about them. I downloaded them for the cover or a recommendation, and most of them I know like one thing about. This is obviously a monster romance. That's what I know about it. I'm not going to tell you the other 4 books because otherwise the vlog is going to be pointless. That's coming mid-April-ish. Then I am going to be reading Leviathan's Song, which I did already tease. This is going to be the try again of my fantasy reading vlog where I read the books that I didn't choose. So I'm not going to read all of them because that would be insane. But I chose 5 books for that vlog that I really wanted to read. They were like the ones that I was really drawn to, but didn't end up picking for the original vlog. This is a series that I know everybody loves, and Heather from Hia Booktubes absolutely loves this author and this series. So I have really high hopes. I am hoping that at least one of these ones ends up being a 5-star because I didn't have a single 5-star in that original video, and that's coming at the end of April, I believe. And then I have 2 other vlogs that I'm not going to tell you about. I did share, I think, with somebody over on Instagram what the series is, so if that was you, don't ruin it. I'm keeping them a secret. So first of all, I am reading If She Says Yes by Tasha L. Harrison. This is going to be a vlog that is coming this spring. Again, I'm not going to tell you exactly when. I do have it already scheduled, and I'm not going to tell you what the vlog is for, but I have 3 books picked out for that vlog. I am so excited for this vlog series. It's going to be great. So I am reading this. I have actually started this once before. I think I read like the first 2 chapters and I was really into it, but for whatever, I don't remember if something came up or what, but I didn't end up continuing with it. And now I'm really glad that I didn't because the perfect vlog came up. And then the last one is The Quarterback by Tal Bauer. This is again another one that is coming up later this spring. I'm not going to tell you when. I'm not going to tell you what for, but I am going to be reading this one. This does mean that I also have to read The Jock before this because this is the second book in the series. So I guess you could count that as another book on this TBR. So I'm going to read The Jock first so that I can read The Quarterback when it is time for this vlog. But I have time before I need to get into that. So that's a little peek at what is coming for my vlogs. Like I said, I don't want to tell you everything. So that is all of the books that I am going to share for my spring TBR. Obviously, I'm going to read more over the next 3-ish months, but those are the things that I know are going to happen and that I'm going to be prioritizing in my upcoming TBRs. I am a very TBR driven reader. I plan out my content really far ahead. Once I like set my monthly TBR, I actually plan my weekly TBRs and just kind of like shift things around as needed after that. But I plan all my TBRs. I know what I'm going to read going into every single week. I don't like having to make decisions. I get decision fatigue very easily. I get overwhelmed very easily. And so I need a plan. I need structure and I need to be told what to do. So I like to plan out all of my TBRs very structured so that I never have to sit there and start my Kindle and go, what the fuck do I read? Because otherwise I will read nothing. That is it for this TBR. Let me know which books you are most excited to see me read. Let me know if you can guess what my secret TBRs are. I'm curious if you know. If you're the person that I told though, don't write it down below. That's just me. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.